Perfect. Awesome. I know we're live on YouTube and Facebook, so I'm just sharing this out before we get kicked off and started. For those of you that are starting to hop on here, we will begin momentarily. I'm just giving Facebook a second to alert you that we're live. Do me a huge favor and start reacting to this video by giving me a nice thumbs up, emoji, or start commenting so I can give you a shout out. Video by giving me a nice thumbs up. Awesome. I already see several of you. Thank you, guys. You all are on top of it. Well, good morning and happy Monday to everyone that's on here with us on this broadcast. If it is your first time on here, please make sure that you hit the like button and hit the notification button. So many of you have been doing that lately. I've been seeing new followers and people that are just staying engaged. So thank you so much. That ensures that as we post content or we go live, that you actually get alerted whenever we do go live in that real time and you're not just watching replay. So I encourage you to make sure that you set your notifications to remind you as we post immediately. And of course, if you are coming back to us, welcome back to our broadcast. I was going to do something fun and just try and memorize how many we've done to date. I know we've done well over 200, so I'll find out the exact number and try and reference it on a future broadcast. But I hope that you can also do your part by sharing this out to your network so others can know about the information that we're providing, be able to engage, and of course, more importantly, ask those questions or comment if they hear something or see something that they want us to be aware of or maybe to speak to even more. So as you log on here and you're giving us the thumbs up, and of course you can be watching this here on Facebook. It's also streamed on our YouTube channel, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. So any friends that you know, especially as of late, that are in Facebook prison or jail, you can always direct them over there. And of course, we have other social platforms we encourage you to tune in on with us. We're on Instagram, on Twitter, at Westy Chamber, and on LinkedIn, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And each platform, we share different messages. Sometimes it might be one message in different ways, so it's easily digestible to you. Now, there is a comment feature and there's a reactionary button that you can share with us. That tells us that you can either hear us, you can see us fine, you're liking the information, you're loving it, whatever that may be. You can also feel free to comment on different things that you see in the video. So if you see this wonderful cassette player, you can't have it, but it is vintage. So I see with us Brenda and Becca. Good morning to you both. Parker Brown, welcome back. Our past board chair, Brian Head. I see Emilio and Tiana. Thank you guys for hopping on with us. And I'll quickly pull up these comments. They are mostly good morning messages, but I'm doing this so you can see if you choose to comment or ask a question. It will pull your profile picture, so hopefully it's something you're proud of, and then it will pull alongside it that comment that you share away. Again, we've had a few from our past board chairman, our current member Parker, our current board chair Peter, Emilio Valdez, and I love the cheesing that you're giving us, Parker. It's lovely. I also see Glenda and a few other people that are on here with us. So with that, I will be muting myself and trying to type in a lot of the content. The mayor does have a number of items that we want to get to, and I'm very pleased that we start off every Monday with him to give us an overview of not just COVID, but things that are happening in our city, county, community, often our state, and of course every now and again the federal level. Since all layers affect us, we want to be as informed as possible. With that, Mayor, the floor is yours, and I'm going to mute myself so that you can take it away.
All right, thanks. Good morning to everyone. Let me start out this morning with telling a special group of people how much we appreciate. This past Saturday, Health One Hospital, in this North Suburban, and thanks to the CEO and president of the hospital, Daphne David, they held an event for our city employees and their families to get their vaccinations. We had between 400 and 500 members of our city family that went over to got their first vaccines. So we greatly appreciate the work with the hospital and our partners over there to get those people vaccinated. We've got a number of things on COVID briefs, city mask orders, transportation bills. One of the things I want you to be aware of is that tonight, City Council will be broadcasting from City Hall. That will only be the council members and 3 members of staff. We're starting to try to work our way back into City Hall, so tonight will be the first one. These will only be done live from City Hall on the nights that we have council meetings. We will continue to stay virtual for study sessions, and we want to continue to protect our employees and others as well. Now, one of the things I wanted to tell you is that we're continuing to see problems jump up on us. What we've seen is a major uptick of COVID infections and positivity rates. In Adams County, we were below 100 back on March the 14th. We've been above the 100 level ever since in Adams County. And this morning, we are at 179.4. But our positivity rate is at 7.7, which is very discouraging. In Jefferson County, we were below 100 back on March the 19th. But today we are at 146.8, and again above the 5-point mark of 5.3. These are not helping our numbers. Now, looking at what we're talking about, I want to get some stuff up from Jeffco. This is a meeting that we had as of the end of last week. We are anticipating, and it's been confirmed by the governor, that effective April the 13th, he's going to release, and then on Friday of this week, he will rescind the state COVID dial. That will then go to the counties individually, but the state will continue to do a mask order. So the last executive order that was sent out on April the 3rd said that no masks are required in any outdoor setting. For counties in the dial level green, no masks were required in most indoor settings. For level blue or above, no masks required in settings of less than 10, but masks are required for groups of 10 plus with unknown vaccine status, regardless of the 6-foot distancing. No masks required for indoor settings for vaccinated groups. Now, Jeffco Public Health, along with Tri-County, have agreed that no masks are required for outdoor settings. But masks are still required for all indoor public settings when 6-foot distancing cannot be maintained from non-household members, regardless of the number of people, regardless of the vaccine status. The federal requirement for masks when traveling and in public conveyances is still in place. Now, on 4 April, that the governor is expected to dissolve the dial April 16th. It currently includes dial 3.0. The state has indicated they will continue to keep the mask order and will have some version of 6-foot distancing and our capacity limit orders. The dial level restrictions at the time of the event are the state rules which must be adhered to, not the dial level restrictions at the time activities were planned. Now, what we're going to see is the counties in blue can maintain their dial status as long as they don't exceed the 115 and 100,000. Yellow can maintain theirs as long as they don't exceed 345 and 100,000, and both of those for limits of 5 consecutive days. Once a county has exceeded the respective buffer for 5 consecutive days, the process to move to the next more restrictive dial level will be triggered. And I just gave you the current count numbers for both Adams and Jefferson County, so we're both on the rise. But here's some concerning things that are going on with our state. Colorado appears to be entering a 4th wave, according to CDPHE. This is based on a 7-day incident rate increasing, the present test positive increasing. Hospitalizations are increasing about 20 per day. There's no clear increase in the deaths, and it's unclear if it's the lag time of artifact or the effect of the vaccines. There are currently 6 variants that have been identified in Colorado. 4 have been identified specifically circulating in Jeffco, and the P1 variant, which is the Brazilian variant, has been identified in multiple cases in Boulder County. The UK variant is increasing very rapidly throughout Colorado, and is concerning because of the severity of the illness in the younger population. Now, this is the report as of the end of the week regarding hospitalization and how it's distributed. The biggest increase in hospitalizations is currently being seen in the 18 to 50 age group, but they gave us some more specific numbers. In the 16 to 29 age group, 11.6% of hospitalizations are in that age group. In the 30 to 49 age group, 27.3% of hospitalizations. In the 50 to 69 age group, 38% of all hospitalizations are in that age group. But in the 70 plus group, only 20.8% make up the hospitalizations. And again, the 18 to 50 age group is where we're seeing the largest number. And our positivity numbers for the week ending of April the 1st. The 0 to 18 age group was 5.6%. The 19 to 29 age group was 4.3. The 30 to 39 age group was 4.3. And the 40 to 49 was 4.0. Those 4 age groups make up, again, the highest number of concentrations of those who are showing up positive and showing up the biggest number of people who are infected. Now, again, effective tonight, we will be looking at the current mask order as it exists when it was passed by the city back in March of last year. I anticipate that we will have a unanimous vote to rescind that ordinance. The reason is it has not kept up with all of the varying changes from the state and the county. As an example, it still excludes you having any outdoor gatherings. So I expect we will rescind that bill, and before people jump up and run and say, well, you've been telling us to keep it the same. We're still doing that. What we're saying is we're going to continue to follow the state and the county health orders. I meet with those 2 health departments at least twice a week. And I will continue to push that we keep the health orders consistent between our 2 counties. The metro mayors, the 38 mayors that make up the 40 municipalities here in the metro area have been consistent throughout, that we want our health orders here in the metro area to be consistent with what the restrictions are. Even though we may see the dial as we know it today go away, there has been no indication up until today that any of the counties, with the exception of Denver, will be issuing a new COVID dial. Denver is going to maintain the current dial for a period of time because their infection numbers are climbing so high and in those same age groups. Jefferson County and Adams County have not made that decision, but we expect by the end of this week or the early part of next week, I think what will drive that will be our infections. And I think that we will see what happens as far as the positivity rate. But because we've had this increasing number over the last few weeks, we will try to do that. Now, under the state order, any of the counties that were in a particular color, what color it was, will be allowed on the initial part to move down 1 level. We should be able to go back to blue in both Adams and Jefferson County, but having the ability to stay there will be dependent upon our infections and what we're seeing from that. So we'll have to see how this thing moves around. It's not stagnant. It is constantly moving. And we saw some major changes from last Thursday to this morning on infection numbers. They're all going in the wrong direction. Our positivity rates are still high. Our infection rates are climbing. And we are outside of the buffer zone of any of those categories. So to Peter's comment, yes, there are things that are going on between the counties, but those will continue to be that way for a period of time. Sorry. I talked about the mask order that we will probably do that tonight. Again, the city hall is going to be open for the city council members and 3 staff members only tonight. We've talked about the events that are going on. And one of the things we want to remind people is not to panic on some of the information that came out in regards to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Currently, Centura has been running at least 3 mass vaccination sites where until the end of last week, they were using Johnson & Johnson. However, due to the number of people who had a reaction to that, especially out at Dick's Sporting Goods Fields, they are not going to be offering for the time being the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. They are going to go back to either the Pfizer or to Moderna for the period of time. Now, that is only on the mass vaccine sites. They will still be offering Johnson & Johnson, is my understanding, in some of their clinic settings, but not on the mass vaccine levels. Now, how soon that could go back to the JJ being offered again, they have not indicated how soon that they're going to do that. So we'll continue to watch that. I thought we had a very good health report from Jefferson County on the amount of detail that they indicated that they would be bringing to us. And that's based upon the number of infections that we have, how the breakdown was of age groups of both the positivity rate and the infection rates. Now, we've got some time, but before I jump out, I want to just bring your attention. I just talked to Juliet about this before we came live. A new transportation bill was dropped this late last week. It's Senate Bill 21-238. The intent of the bill is to establish a new taxing district for what's being referred to as Front Range Rail. This would be very similar to what RTD has today, is they have a taxing district for the metro area. There are a number of things in here that we have not had the opportunity to look at because it came in late. I have concerns at this point that we don't have a finite definition of what Front Range Rail is. When will it come? How will it be financed? There are different things still being talked. My bigger concern is that I don't want to see another taxing district put on us and then we not get the service that we're paying for. Many of you have been here. You have been harping at RTD. You have been bringing your frustrations to Westminster and every city in the metro area, that especially in the northwest corner of the metro area. We passed the Fast Tracks bill in 2004. 17 years later, we still don't have rail service in the northwest quadrant of the city or of the counties. So anytime we start putting on new taxing districts, I get concerned. That does not mean that I'm not going to support it. It doesn't mean I will support it. It means that I want to see more about what the bill is proposing and see how it goes through the process. So we will continue to watch that. Our staff has already gotten a copy of it. We're starting to review it. It'll get discussed with the council as soon as we see something that goes a little further. We're very early in the process. We do need more transportation opportunities. This particular one is looking at a fast track rail system going from Fort Collins to Pueblo. There are 3 current routes proposed. Those routes have not been narrowed down to the one they're going to actually try to build. The environmental impact statements have not been done on them, so that could take several years before that happens. Most of this is proposed to be federal money to help build it, but eventually the local communities will have to maintain it and operate it. And that will be done through the taxing district that's being proposed. So if you get a chance, again, look at it, Senate Bill 21-238. I know that the chamber has a group that will be looking at the bill as to whether or not they're going to support or they're going to ask for amendments. Way too early to jump into that discussion. It's not too early to understand what is being proposed. And we will all hold our breath that we get something that we can get bringing transportation improvements to the state as soon as possible, because the last date that we have from RTD for the completion of the B line or the Northwest Rail line is still 2050. But their financial situation has not improved to the point that they're going to be able to bring that in any sooner. There may be options in the future for to do segments of the Northwest Rail without having to build the entire piece. But that will happen if there are public-private partnership opportunities that come to light that will help bring that forward. At this point, there are none that are openly being discussed, and most municipalities will have to look real hard at what they think it's worth to them to try to bring public-private partnerships. So we'll see what happens. Juliet, it's about 20 after. We got a few minutes left. I've been trying to watch. I'm not seeing anything in the chat room for questions. I appreciate all the effort you're doing to keep up with all the information I've been dropping on you.
I know it's quite a bit. And for those of you that are hopping on, I see Ramon and Jason Gank. I also see Glenda. Thank you guys for hopping on here with us. The mayor has shared a number of items our way. The last item really was a big one related to infrastructure and transportation. Highly encourage everyone to take a look at that new bill that's coming out. There has also been a previous one that did come out that looks at just kind of transportation statewide and raising some sort of a funds to be able to cover that through fees and such. So if you're interested in information about those bills, we'll be sure to include the links into the comment section of this video after we're no longer live. Again, as the mayor shared, we will review these on our Government Affairs Committee. That meeting is always on the second Tuesday of the month, so we do have one tomorrow. If you're interested, let us know. The mayor did go in detail on some other numbers that have seen some significant changes as it relates to COVID increases on both Adams and Jeffco side. He also went into detail on some of the state's changes to the state level COVID dial that's there, and of course the flexibility that will be given to our counties to continue to handle any additional restrictions in the future. So I appreciate some of the comments. I know Peter had shared a comment from Tri-County Health from a last call he was on Friday, with them sharing that they will likely move ADCO to blue and keep that for 30 days. The mayor did make a comment and share that under the state order, counties will be allowed to move down to one level, so long as that they can continue, of course, to maintain those days that the infection and positivity rate do not change or significantly change from that point being and moving forward. We also touched on the age groups that are seeing a huge increase in COVID cases between 18 to 50. And Mayor, do we have an idea on why that age range in specific is seeing such an increase, whether it's in the hospitalization or infection rates in comparison to previous months?
I think what we'll have to do is see where they find out they're coming from when they do the contact tracing. But a lot of those age groups are out and about. Once vaccine started, a lot of people relaxed their guard and went on about doing business as usual. We've seen a lot of things, as you can remember, from Florida and other states during spring break. We're starting to see schools back in place. So there's not one thing that I believe that can be contributed. I think it's a multitude of things, and people are outside more. But I do want to jump down to Brian Head for just a minute. And Brian, you're absolutely right. We do have the announcement that the Major League All-Star game is coming, but I will tell you, I talked to 2 hotels on Thursday and Friday. Their hotels are receiving the national bookings. They're not calling direct from us, but the Major League Baseball is putting out information on where hotels are, and part of that is being coordinated through MLB. I do know that they, as an example, the Origin Hotel, the new downtown, is already fully booked with reservations for 2 particular groups. One is the Triple Crown event that comes every year, well, except for 2020, comes here. We've got almost 40,000 people coming into the metro area for the softball games for that. That hotel is fully booked. I believe most of the available hotel rooms in the Marriott, Hyatt Place, and the Westin are also booked. But those advertisements of baseball, they are being done through their central committee for coordinating rooms and booking blocks of rooms for people who are doing. We do know that we'll expect that, by talking to Amy Beardsley, who's the sales coordinator for the origin, both in Westminster and in Golden, that they're getting a lot of calls. We expect to see a lot more stuff as it gets closer to then, for the people starting to try to book restaurants and stuff as they start to get ahead. I think that was the only one that I saw of
I think that
question
was
in there.
That was great, and I'm so glad that you answered it the way you have. I mean, Triple Crown at 40,000. I think that's even larger than previous years. So it's nice to see that they're coming back in full swing. And of course, as they come back, and all other types of conference groups, we do our best to try and work with them to make sure that they dine and support local, so that we can keep those dollars here. I don't see additional comments. So for those of you that start hopping on here at a later point in time, maybe watch it after we're no longer live, give us that hashtag replay. You can always comment any questions that you might have. If you research something that the mayor has shared and then want to come back to us with a comment or additional question, you can always do so. We turn around and I share that with the mayor. He does respond to me in at least within that day, if not a 24-hour window. Tara, thank you for hopping on here with us. So make sure that you continue to watch this broadcast at a later point in time and engage with it, as we often will respond back to you. Also share this out if you have not already done so to your network, so others can hear some of the information. I did my best to capture a lot of the information that the mayor shared. There were a lot of numbers and very specific details. So the more details that he provided, the more I kind of pulled back on, because I never want to conflict with what he is sharing. So please make sure that you rewind and rewatch and listen to some of the information that he pushed out, so that way you're getting the most accurate. Sometimes I misspell or I'll type too fast. So I want to make sure that you're seeing the correct information. Of course, tonight is their city council meeting, and the mayor did share some updates on the council actually going back in person. That would be limited to just the councilors and a couple of the staff people. Everyone can still engage, can still access the agenda and everything beforehand. That is on the City of Westminster website, and I encourage you to look up any agenda packets, information on there. Of course, I also see a quick question from Parker Brown before I completely wrap this up. Parker is asking, related to the delivery cap fees for the third party, whatever transpired with that, Mayor?
Parker, it expired at the end of March, and we did not renew it. So it's back to normal activity on the third-party fees. Juliet, one quick thing before I forgot. I was asked about the tribute garden. As you recall, we typically hold a big event there each year, but because of COVID, we are still not doing a lot of those. But those take at least a year in planning. So because we are so late getting notification about the return of outdoor events, we were not able to put together a live event. It will be pre-recorded. It will be put out on the websites. Jason Gink and his group are putting that together right now. But let me offer you a tidbit. If you have a few minutes when you're in the area of the tribute garden, go down and see 3 outstanding pieces of artwork. The lady who was the model or the Coast Guard unit is an actual person that has been attending one of our previous events. She was the first female rescue swimmer for the Coast Guard. She is the live model for that group, and it looks great. Just the beginning of last week, we installed the 3rd statue. That's the last one that was currently funded. That is was given to us by Ball Corporation, and it's for the Air Force. An outstanding piece of work, again, of a female Latino captain, Air Force pilot, along with a young child in her arms. Ladies and gentlemen, those 2 pieces alone are worth your time to go over and look at, honoring our service members, our service women and men. And of course, we do have the Merchant Marine piece that's there as well. But yeah, I was shocked at how great the detail on our other 2 came out. There's nothing wrong with any of them, but it's great to see women in uniform honored as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Yeah, no, I think that's terrific. A great piece of history, and great work to pioneer that and be able to capture it in art. So I definitely second what the mayor is sharing. Please go out there, take some time to take some photos, and maybe even post them and get some buzz around it in the community. And honestly, even though we don't have an event that's out there that's big and huge, we can still gain traction and have people check that out as much as they would like. And sometimes that's a greater benefit than having a large crowd where you can't access and post hose and take those 50 shots. So go out there, support the works, and of course, support something that means so much to our history and the diversity that brings into our community. We are at our 30-minute mark. So that means I have to wind this down. Again, if you are watching this and we're no longer live, give us a hashtag replay. You can always comment, ask questions, engage with us on here on our weekly broadcast. We at least hold 2 to 3 on a weekly basis now due to us going back to our normal programming. I'll be hopping on here this week to give you an idea on some of those updates and everything as it relates to chamber and some outreach that we're doing. So be sure that you bring your questions to that. Of course, I encourage you to remain on top of everything that's going on. You can do so by connecting with us on all of our social media platforms and letting us know if you're no longer accessing our emails or the city's email communication so we can give you the most updated communication line. Mayor, thank you for being on here with us. I know we never really know until Monday what we have on our radar, but I think today was an enriching conversation as they all are, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.